Hello everyone. In this video, I'll be explaining the concept of excess demand and excess supply in the simplest possible way. To properly understand this concept, you need to know the basics of supply and demand, so if you haven't watched the previous video, I suggest that you do. So here's the supply and demand curve, and there's this equilibrium point right here where producers and consumers agree on a price and quantity. And this is where the market operates. But for some weird reason, demand shifts to the right, meaning that it was influenced by some non-price factor. Referring to the previous video, Snoop Dogg could have live-streamed himself having a bag of chips, causing the demand for the chips to increase drastically. So that's that, and now let's see what has changed in the graph due to this shift. As demand for chips, or whatever I don't really mind, shifts to the right, there's a temporary shortage at the old equilibrium point. So what is a shortage? It's a situation where quantity demanded is far greater than quantity supplied at a constant price. The price here is still at P1, but at that price, chip factories cannot produce the amount of chips that consumers want. Consumers are demanding this amount of chips, but factories can only produce this amount. So what can the factories do? What can they possibly do to chill the consumers out, to have them demanding less chips, while they don't necessarily lose profit? Well, they would increase the price. As producers realize that they can increase the price so consumers demand less while they earn more money per bag of chips, there's a movement along the supply curve. Remember, this change in supply isn't a shift, it's a movement along the supply curve because it's a change in quantity supplied due to a price factor. Again, refer to the previous video if you still do not understand this concept. And now that factories earn more money per bag of chips, they gain more motivation to produce chips. This is when QS increases to Q3. Meanwhile, the consumers are like, well, the chips are fine, but I wouldn't buy them at a price this high. This is when QD decreases to Q3. So the price increase, as stated in the law of supply and demand, has increased quantity supplied while decreasing quantity demanded. And now the producers and consumers have finally met again. They have agreed on a price and quantity, and that's where a new equilibrium point is settled. As a result of increased demand, prices are higher and quantities greater than before. Now, excess supply is really the same thing, but the inverse. Let's now imagine the chip factory being exposed badly by some massive media platform. At the current price, consumers would be like, man, I should really stop buying those chips at this price. So that's when demand decreases by a non-price factor that is negative advertising. So let's have a look at what changed. There's now a surplus, where quantity supplied is larger than quantity demanded. Now factories have an overload of chips. They're really at a situation where they have to sell these overloaded chips at even a lower price. So what do? They decrease the price. They'd have to sell at a lower price in order to get rid of all these leftover stocks of chips. So P1, which was the initial market price that caused the surplus, decreases to P2, where consumers and producers meet again at a price and quantity. As stated in the law of supply and demand, lower price caused quantity demanded to increase from QD to Q3, while quantity supplied decreased from QS to Q3. The result of excess supply is that price and quantity is both lower than before. In most free markets, surpluses and shortages like this are only temporary because prices eventually move towards the equilibrium levels. For example, it wouldn't take chip factories that long to realize that they can increase the price when they're demanded too much, as well as when they have to decrease the price so they can sell off some of the overloaded stock of their chips. Thus, in market economics, prices are the mechanism for rationing scarce resources. The tendency of a market towards equilibrium is very strong. When prices are too high or too low, the market tends to clear eventually.